Yes, welcome back to episode 2, which is the continuing racing highlights from the 2024 Wulfsport Taylor Trophy Scramble. Now, due to the worsening track conditions and the increasing difficulty of some of the riders trying to make their way around the track, the organisers have then decided to alter the scheduled 24 race programme and then reduce it, which basically meant that one full block of races was then removed, and then we just simply jump onto race 13 to continue with the programme. So that then, of course, brought us onto the next race for the pre-60s, 65s, 68 and 74 classes up to and over 250 cc. So basically these are all of the vintage bikes all grouped together, but naturally they'll all be scored into their respective classes as they cross the finish line. So as the riders leave the line, looks like another good start by number 264 again, Chris Chell, who's being chased by number 98, Liston Bell. So both of these guys have basically started where they left off in race 1, with Chris Chell at the front and Liston Bell in second position. Looks like Andy Hinchcliffe's made a good start there on that Twinport CZ in fourth position. So this of course is the second race of the day for all of the vintage bikes, and there's your race leader, Chris Chell, on that lovely Shenny 600 BSA. Number 98, Liston Bell, is currently in second position. So as you can see, Chris has made another fantastic start to this race 2. There's Liston just going through there on the big Jawa machine. Looks like Andy Hinchcliffe's moved up into third position. Just coming into the picture now is number 235. That's Sam Alderman on his Japsa machine. That's a BSA frame with the big John Alfred Prestwich 4-stroke engine in the chassis. So as they begin lap 2, it's still this man here, number 264, Chris Chell, and there doesn't seem to be any sign of second place man Liston Bell on the big 540 Jawa machine. So I don't know if Liston's got some kind of mechanical issue, because he's nowhere to be seen here. So Chris Chell has got quite a lead on this man here in second position. Andy Hinchcliffe on the lovely Twinport CZ. And as you can see, the weather conditions here at Helsington weren't fantastic. Certainly weren't the best for early July, and although it wasn't raining heavily, it was still very dull and damp, and there was still enough rain to continually wet the track and make it very difficult for most of these riders. But as you can see, no such problems for this young man here, Chris Chell, in first position, and that bike that Chris is riding has a 1971 Shenny frame with a 600 BSA B50 engine in the chassis, and it's a bike that I've seen quite a few times on the track before, and Chris, as far as I remember, has won the British Classic Scrambles Championship at least 4 times in the past, so I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that he's quite quick on one of these Shenny races, because you can see for yourself that this big Shenny BSA 600 does have some nice parts bolted onto it, and in fact I do remember we did a profile on this bike on Classic Dirt Bike TV a couple of years ago, so you may want to have a look at that video if you're interested. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the race programme has been curtailed slightly, and the organisers have decided to remove a full block of racing due to the very tricky track conditions. So we've basically jumped a full block of racing onto this race here, which is race 13 of 24 that were scheduled on the day. So you can see that Chris Chell is currently looking very comfortable here at the front of this pack. Andy Hinchcliffe is still in second position. And I did think we were going to have a good scrap at the beginning of this race with Chris and Liston Bell, so I don't know what happened to Liston. It looks like he's had some kind of mechanical failure on his big Jawa, so he's no longer taking part in this race. Number 380 there is Jeff Taylor. Jeff's also riding another one of those lovely twin porter CZs. There's your second place man, number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe, just crossing the finish line to start another racing lap. But here's your race leader, Chris Chell, looking like he's going to be unchallenged in this race, because the second place man is still a fair bit down the track. So Chris Chell absolutely cruising his way around this historic Helsington racetrack to possibly his second win of the day. But Chris has just a few more turns and twists to go before the end of this race, because this is the last and final lap, as we take a look at our second place man playing catch up, number 224 Andy Hinchcliffe on the twin port CZ. I think that could be a 360 or 380 CZ bikes. These twin porters, of course, were super quick back in the day, so it looks like Andy Hinchcliffe is heading towards a fine second place finish. And that's number 235 again heading towards the checkered flag. That's Sam Alderman on his nice Japsa. Well, looks like we've got a rider dropped his BSA into the corner there. And I can just see John Sinnott in the background there with his CZ. It looks like he's got some issues with his bike as well. That's another one of the bikes that we had a look at in our paddock walkabout. But some of these riders still finding it very difficult in these tricky track conditions. So that's basically what went down for the vintage bikes for their second race of the day. But right now we're moving on to race 14, and this is a combined twin shock 125s, and this is the A and B classes grouped together. Another very good lineup of these little 125 two-stroke screamers. So it looks like we're just about good to go. The 5-second board is just about to be displayed, and the riders leave the line in a hail of roosters and two-stroke smoke. So as the riders make their way down on lap 1, it looks like it's number 177. That's Aaron Rowe, who appears to have made a fantastic start there on that 1979 RM 125 Suzuki. It looks like we've got Andy Hinchcliffe in second place with Woody in third. So these guys have also made a good start for lap 1. So there's your early race leader as they begin lap 1. It's number 177, Aaron Rowe on the RM Suzuki. Andy Hinchcliffe is out again on his CR125 Honda, but that's a very rough and difficult part of the track, that particular turn there. And you can see there's a couple of riders already had a clash together. Number 28 there is Chris Myers on his RM Suzuki. So we're picking up a race leader again, number 177, Aaron Rowe. I think it's Andy Hinchcliffe that's still in second position there, number 224. Third place looks like it could be Neil Brooks, number 91. I think that's Martin Stokes there just behind him in fourth place. Another rider hit the deck there going into the turn, but there's another another rider down. As I said, a very tricky part of the track there. That was number 161 who dropped their bike there. That was Joseph Dent. But you can see that these two have already opened up a substantial gap on the rest of the pack. Number 177, Aaron Rowe, your race leader. Number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe there in second place. But it looks like Andy Hinchcliffe's going to challenge for that track position. Aaron nearly dropped his RM Suzuki there, but he's managed to keep it upright and secure that second place. But it's now number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe on the CR 125 Honda. You may remember that in the first 125 race of the day, Andy had that coming together with Chris Winder, but unfortunately Chris didn't come off just as well as Andy did, so Andy's still managing to take part in the rest of the race programme. So it's Aaron Rowe who appears to have stalled his Suzuki going into the turn. So this is the battle for third position. It's number 91 just going through there. Neil Brooks in third. So we're back with our race leader, Andy Hinchcliffe, as he begins another racing lap. He's already got quite a decent gap between himself and second place man Aaron Rowe. I don't know if Aaron's had some kind of problem at the back end of the track, because he's quite a bit down the track now, but he's still currently circulating in second position. It looks like Aaron's lost his right hand side rear number plate, so Aaron's maybe dropped his bike as he began this next lap, so maybe he has dropped the bike and dropped down the pack ever so slightly, but he's still currently in second position. So there's our race leader, number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe, looking quite comfortable at the front as he comes across to complete another racing lap. It looks like Aaron Rowe has some kind of problem there with that 125 Suzuki. Looks like he's heading for a oh Jesus, God almighty. Looks like Aaron Rowe has been taken out by Charlie Johnson there, number 94. He come belting down that outside and must have caught Aaron's handlebars and completely wiped him out, but it looks like Charlie Johnson is still up and running, so that will basically put paid to Aaron's race for the 125s. So as it currently stands, Andy Hinchcliffe is your race leader, and I think in second position now will be at number 51. I think that's Martin Stokes, and it will be Neil Brooks at number 91, who's currently in third. So it's Andy Hinchcliffe heading up the hill to cross the finish line to start another racing lap, and this will be your second placed rider, number 51, Martin Stokes on the CR125 Honda, and in third place just behind Martin there should be this man here, number 91, that's Neil Brooks. So Andy Hinchcliffe doing slightly better than he did in the first race for the 125s when he had that collision with Chris Winder, but Andy fortunately has managed to continue with the rest of the race programme, but hopefully Chris didn't suffer too much of an injury, and we hopefully will see Chris back on his bike again in the not so distant future. So it's Andy Hinchcliffe on his last and final lap of the combined 125A and B classes, just a few turns to go to head to the finish line. It'll still be number 51 Martin Stokes in second position, with Neil Brooks currently in third. So Andy Hinchcliffe just coming down the hill for the very last time. So this has certainly been a better result than in the previous 1-2-5 race. So as he heads up the hill to take the win, it's the first win of the day for number 224 Andy Hinchcliffe. And we're taking a look at number 585. That should be Steve Dent. He's riding his little 125 Honda. So that's the combined 125 A and B classes for the 125s. So next up, it's the second race for the Twin Shock 250 class. This is, of course, race 15, another cracking lineup of 250 bikes. I'm just waiting on our race starter, making sure that everybody's bike is running and in the proper position for the start. So the 10-second board is now being raised, shortly to become 5 seconds as they leave the line. That looks like Lee Payne's made quite a good start there again on the 250 Honda Red Rocket. As they make their way round into the wooded section. This is quite a rough part of the track, this part here. It looks like Ryan Ireland is your second placed rider. But as I said, a very rough part of the racetrack, that part going through the woods. But it's certainly number 41, Lee Payne, your race leader from number 43. That's Ryan Ireland in second position. We'll just try and pick up a few more of the riders as we find out their actual race numbers. So as they make their way round on lap one, it's still number 41 Lee Payne there in first position. Ryan Ireland, number 43, going through in second. Both these bikes, of course, are the Honda 250 Red Rockets. So Lee Payne off to another cracking start in this 250 class race. It looks like we have a rider parked track side there on an RM250 Suzuki. I think that could be Nathan Jones there. It looks like that Suzuki is point blank refusing to restart, so it looks like Nathan's race is finished already. But as it stands, no such problem for this man here, number 41 Lee Payne on the 250 Red Rocket. It's still Ryan Ireland, number 43, in second position. I'm not sure who's in third at the moment, but I think it could be Neil Jones currently in third position. But Lee Payne going very well here on this very quick 250 Rocket. There's your second place man just coming into shot now, number 43 Ryan Ireland, who also did quite well in the first 250 race of the day. Number 21 there, that's Neil Jones. I think Neil's just went a bit wide on the track there. He's still managed to keep the bike upright, but I think he's currently in about fourth position as it stands. And that looked like Andrew Dodgson, number 86, just taking that third place track position away from Neil Jones. So here's your race leader, number 41 Lee Payne. It's still Ryan Ireland in second, and it's George Dodgson in third position, with Neil Jones currently in fourth. Now, of course, we still have one more final episode to post with the remaining races from this year's Helsington Classic Scramble. And as I said, there should maybe have been about 4 episodes from this event, although with the race programme being curtailed ever so slightly because of the track conditions, these 3 episodes were enough to fit in all of the racing that took place on the day. So we're looking to the top of the racetrack to pick up our race leader. It's still number 41, Lee Payne, who has quite a substantial lead over this man here in second position, number 43, Ryan Ireland. Ryan again going very well on his 250 Honda Red Rocket, but I do remember having a little chat with Ryan prior to race day, and he was telling me that he's still carrying a slight hand injury from a previous race event. So even although Ryan has that slight injury, he's still going very well here in second position. But without doubt, the Westmoreland Motor Club have put in quite a lot of effort to put on this 2024 event, so we certainly have to give them a little pat on the back for all of their hard work. But then again, for a club that's been established for more than 100 years, they're bound to have plenty of experience when it comes to organising one of these off-road events. So we're back with our race leader as he starts his last and final lap of this 250 class race. It's still number 41, Lee Payne, who's basically led this race from the start gate. So he's looking good for a race win. It's still number 43, Ryan Ireland, in second position, but you can't take anything away from this man here. He's ridden superbly on this, what I think is a 1980 250 Honda Red Rocket. So just a few twists and turns for Lee Payne to head towards the checkered flag. There's your second place man, still number 43, Ryan Ireland. So it's a win for number 41, Lee Payne. It's going to be this man here, Ryan Ireland, who's going to cross the line in second position. So we're just going to pick up a few of the other riders as they make their way towards the checkered flag. And you can see that this part of the track at the bottom here is still very slippy, but most of these guys have managed to negotiate the entire race. Number 26 there is Paul Pattinson on his 250 Honda Red Rocket. So that's the second race for the 250s. So that quite conveniently brings us on to race 16, and this is the second race for the Twin Shock Open aged 60 plus category. Even although these are the veterans of the Twin Shock classes, these are still very quick riders in this class, as you'll soon find out. So the 5-second board is now being raised as they leave the line. It looks like Paul Chiappa's made quite a good start there on the 490 Michael, but as they head up the hill, it looks like that man again, number 2, Dave Sulkeld, who was the dominant winner in this class in the previous race. So Dave is certainly off to a blinding start as they make their way up the hill. It looks like Paul Chiappa's in third position there. It looks like John Idden on the YZ Yamaha is your second place man, but there's your race leader coming towards us, number 2, Dave Sulkeld. It looks like John, oops, dearie me, I thought there was going to be a collision there between John Idden and Paul Chiappa, but looks like John Idden has the advantage. But there's no mistaking this man here is super quick on this 490 Michael. The conditions here at Helsington are not the best, but I must say Dave Sulkeld is having none of it, because he's riding that big 490 Michael like the track was bone dry. So Dave Sulkeld already opening up a decent gap to second place man here, John Idden on the YZ 490 Yamaha. Paul Chiappa there is in third position. Alan Bott is in fourth, and that looked like number 33 going through there. I think that was Neil Eastwood on the big Michael. And number 66 just making his way up the hill there. That's Peter Lightfoot. It's nice to see Peter back out on a bike again, because he's not done an awful lot of racing this year, but this man here is certainly the star of the show here at Helsington. It's number 2, Dave Salkeld, on the 1981 490 Michael Mega 2. There's your second place man, John Idden, on that rapid YZ 490 Yamaha. So John doing very well in second position. And you can see that bike that John's riding is, of course, a YZ490 twin shock conversion, quite a popular upgrade for these, what would have been originally a monoshock Evolution bike. And looks like John's converted this particular bike to a twin shock racer. There's the other veteran in third position, Paul Chiappa, still very quick on these German Michaels, even at aged 65. So Paul certainly not lost any of the speed he enjoyed in his younger days. He's still enjoying his twin shock racing. So that's Paul Chiappa there in third position. It looks like Neil Eastwood has moved up into fourth, with Alan Bott now in fifth. Now it looks like our race leader Dave Salkeld is coming under a bit of pressure here from our second place man John Idden. So John Idden, it looks like he's turning up the speed, and he's certainly catching Dave Salkeld. So this could turn into quite a good scrap here at the front, but it's still currently Dave Salkeld, your race leader, from number 240, John Idden, in second position. Now, naturally, both of these riders are over 60 years of age, but you certainly wouldn't think it with the speed that they're going around this Helsington racetrack, and you just have to wonder how fast these guys would be going if this track was bone dry. But they're certainly going around this track at a decent rate of knots. There's your second place man. It's still John Idden, and there's your third placed rider, the man from Dunfermline, Paul Chiappa, on his 490 Michael, currently still in third position. It's Neil Eastwood, but it looks like Neil's just been passed for that third place position, so Neil's down to fourth, with Alan Bott currently still in fifth spot. So we're back with a battle at the front of the pack, and it looks like John Idden has managed to get the advantage of Dave Salkeld on that last lap. So it looks like it's John Idden, your race leader, but Dave Salkeld fighting back with the big 490 Michael. So Dave's been going very well, but it remains to be seen if he can catch and pass John Idden again. So currently, as they come towards us, it's still John Idden from number 2, Dave Salkeld, but these YZ490s are still quite quick bikes. Dave Salkeld tries to go round the outside, so it looks like Dave's not finished yet, so we could have a good scrap here as they head towards starting their last and final lap. But this is a good race here between John Idden and Dave Salkeld, but as they head up the hill to start their last lap, it's currently John Idden who leads number 2, Dave Salkeld. So we still have our third position man here, Paul Chiappa. He's currently still in third place as we take a look at number 33 again. That's Neil Eastwood. And on the left-hand side there is number 74. That's Alan Bott. So we're back with our second placed rider. It's still this man here, number 2, Dave Salkeld, who has certainly ridden superbly here this afternoon, but it's still John Idden with that slight advantage to Dave just ahead of him. So this is, of course, is the last and final lap of this race, and it doesn't look like Dave Salkeld's going to manage to make up that whoops. Nearly had a little moment there, did Dave. So he's currently still in second place as he passes number 139. That's Craig Holmes on his big Michael. But here's your race leader. Another good performance here by number 240 John Idden on the twin shock YZ 490 Yamaha. So it's going to be a win for John Idden. It's going to be Dave Salkeld who comes up the hill in second position. And just to fill in the remaining spaces, it looks like Alan Bott has managed to move up to third position. So Alan Bott's going to take that third position. It's going to be Neil Eastwood in fourth, with this man here, Paul Chiappa, who's going to cross the line in fifth. So that brings us on to race 17, and this is the second twin shock class. This is, of course, for the open aged 45 plus, the slightly younger veterans of the twin shock classes. So we have another decent lineup of twin shock riders for this 45 plus race. Maybe not as many as the 60 plus, but certainly enough riders to make a good race of it. So the 10-second board has now been raised shortly to become 5. So as our racers leave the line, it's a cracking start there by number 21 Mark Kenny. Ewan Johnston's made a good start again in second position. As I remember, these two had a good scrap in the previous 45 plus race. So as they come down the hill, it is indeed Mark Kenny, your race leader, from number 177 or treble 7 Ewan Johnston. Craig Smith is in third position, and it looks like Keith Barnes has also made a cracking start there in third place on the big 4-stroke CCM. So we're looking to the far side of the racetrack to pick up our front runners, and it's still number 21 Mark Kenny on the CR500 Honda who leads number treble 7. That's Ewan Johnston on the 1984 490 Michael. Just waiting on our third placed rider coming through. In fact, it's number 46. That's Jonathan Bethel in third. Craig Smith there, number 25, is in fourth. But this has been a good start here by 21 Mark Kenny. Ewan Johnston just making the turn there on the big Michael. Jonathan Bethel has also made a good start on the big 4-stroke Husqvarna. And as you can see, the conditions here at Helsington not improving as the day goes on. And there's our second placed rider. That's Ewan Johnston. He appears to have dropped his machine in that very tricky part of the track where Chris Winder and Andy Hinchcliffe had a coming together. But so that leaves this man here with a decent gap to who now is in second place, which I think is number 46 Jonathan Bethel on the big 540 Husqvarna. So this is your new second placed rider, number 46 Jonathan Bethel on the big 4-banger Husqvarna. So Jonathan doing very well there in second position. I think it's Craig Smith currently in third. Looks like another couple of riders have succumbed to that tricky part at the bottom part of the track. That's number 155 there in the red. That's Andy Barnes on his Myco, and number 368 is Andy Farr, who's also riding a twin shock Myco. So it's still this man here, number 21 Mark Kenny, your race leader, from number 46 Jonathan Bethel on his big 4-banger twin shock Husky. Craig Smith is still currently in third, number 25. And actually, it's just a pity we don't have smell-o-vision on our TVs or devices, because that way you'd be able to smell all the hot oil and these cooking engines, which is certainly one of the advantages of standing trackside, because you get all of the smells and the sounds that you sometimes don't appreciate watching the footage on a phone or other TV or mobile device. But without doubt, the best way to watch my content is through a big screen TV with a good soundbar attached. So we're looking at our third placed rider, number 25, Craig Smith. Craig's another rider from my hometown of Dunfermline, so Craig flying the flag for our hometown. Number 55 there is Keith Barnes on that beautiful Clues 500 CCM. So we're back with our race leader, number 21, Mark Kenny. And as far as I know, that bike there of Mark's is another one of those hybrid machines, whereby this bike was probably originally a monoshock machine that's been converted to take a pair of twin shocks at the rear. But again, this is quite a common conversion these days for these big bore twin shockers. So just coming over the hill there, number 46 again is Jonathan Bethel on big 540cc 4-stroke Husqvarna, and Craig Smith is still currently in third position there, number 25. So it's still Mark Kenny at the front here as he begins his last and final lap of this race. Just behind Mark there is number 777, that's Ewan Johnson, but I don't think Ewan's in second position, because remember, he dropped his bike and lost quite a few track positions. But there's your second placed man on the track, number 46, Jonathan Bethel, and looks like Craig Smith is closing in on Jonathan Bethel for that second placed position. So we could see a change here before the end of this final lap. But there's no doubt this has still been a very good performance here by Jonathan Bethel on the big 4-stroke Husqvarna. I think that's a big 540 cc bike. Jonathan nearly took a tumble there, but managed to save it. But Craig Smith is certainly closing in on Jonathan for that track position, so we may see a challenge before the end of this final lap. So as they make their way up the hill, still Jonathan Bethel in second position. Jonathan looks like he's going to stay tight to the ropes to make Craig Smith go round the outside. But it looks like Jonathan stalled his bike going into that corner, so it's going to be a second place finish for Craig Smith, and it looks like Jonathan Bethel is going to end up finishing in fourth. So that brings us on to the final race in this episode 2, and this is race 18. This is the Twin Shock Open under 45s, and also including the pre-1978s. So as they blast from the line, it looks like it's number 25. That's Jamie Law who's got the early lead there. I think that was Graham Riley in second position, but these guys are absolutely motoring through that very rough part of the wooded section. So we're going to head to the top of the track now to pick up our race leader, and I think it's actually at number 41. I think that could be Lee Payne once again, who is your race leader. Second position is Jamie Law. Third is Graham Riley. Fourth is Brad O'Leary. Some really quick riders in this under 45-year-old category. So there's your race leader heading down into the turn. It's number 41, Lee Payne, who, whoops, oh, that's your second place rider. Number 25, Jamie Law, who's dropped the big Monda That's, of course, a Michael frame with a big CR500 Honda engine in the chassis. But Lee Payne is off to a flyer here in first position. Graham Riley is currently second. Brad O'Leary there just blasting through on the Wulfsport Michael. Number 118 just making his way through. There is Michael Smith, but I think Jamie Law is back up and running now, and he's certainly lost a few track positions, but we'll keep an eye on Jamie to see if he can make up those lost track positions once again. But there's your race leader at the top of the racetrack. It's number 41, Lee Payne, being chased by number 711. That's Graham Riley. Now you have to remember that this bike here of Lee Payne's is a 250 YZ Yamaha, whereby the rest of the chasing bikes are the big bore Michaels and CR500 Hondas. So it'll give you an idea just how quick Lee Payne is going on this smaller YZ 250 Yamaha. But still in second position, it's still Graham Riley, number 711, just coming into shot now, and Graham's riding a 480 Honda, and again that bike's from 1983, but it's a twin shock conversion to what was, of course, the original 1983 monoshock Honda. So Graham Riley still doing very well there, currently second position. There's your third place man on the right hand side there. That's Brad O'Leary, number 2 on the Wulfsport Michael, but it looks like Jamie Law is up and running again, so he's currently in fourth position, and he's looking like he's going to pass Brad O'Leary. So we're looking at number 711, Graham Riley, in second position. Number 79 there, I think that could be Storm Stacey on his 81 250 twin shock Michael. So it looks like Storm's in third position. But it's still this man here, number 41, Lee Payne, on the YZ 250 Yamaha, the race leader. So Lee Payne still going well on the Yamaha. It looks like he's maybe stalled it or missed a gear in the corner there, so Graham Riley's blasting through into the lead of this race, but Lee Payne going round the outside and managing to keep that pole position. So this is a good scrap here between that very quick YZ 250 Yamaha of Lee Payne against Graham Riley's big 480 CR Honda. But you must hand it to Lee Payne, because he's vastly underpowered when it comes to the size of bike, because this is a 250 who's racing against these big 480 and 500 cc bikes. So there's your second place man, Graham Riley, in second and on the 480 cc Honda. And as far as I know, this is a 1981 YZ250 that Lee Payne's riding, so this will give you a little indication of just how quick one of these bikes were way back in the early 1980s. But I see a yellow flag there, so that must mean somebody's stopped track side. Lee Payne still your race leader from number 711 there, just going through Graham Riley, and it looks like number 25 Jamie Law has now moved up into third position, so Jamie's made quite a good recovery. Number 441 there, I think that's Victoria Bateman, who looks like her race is run on her 250 Honda Elsinore. But no such problems there for this man here, number 41, Lee Payne, who is absolutely blasting around this Helsington racetrack on that 252-stroke YZ Yamaha. But there's no question, normally if this racetrack here at Helsington was dry, it can certainly provide the spectators with some fast and furious racing. But I have to say that even in these tricky, slippy and difficult conditions, some of these guys are still carrying quite a good turn of speed. So we have just a few turns to go before the end of this race. There's your second place man, number 711, Graham Riley, but taking nothing away from our race leader, number 41, Lee Payne, who is heading up the hill to take the win from this man here, number 711, Graham Riley, on the 480 CR Honda twin shocker. And it's going to be Jamie Law there, number 25, who's going to take that final podium place position. So we are just taking a look at the rest of the pack as they make their way through to finish this race. But I do hope you've enjoyed all of the racing highlights from this episode 2 from Helsington 2024. But don't forget, we will return with the last and final video featuring all of the remaining races from Helsington 2024 when we return with more of the racing highlights. So until the next time, it's goodbye for now.